Pleasant good day and welcome to Old Talk. Today we're looking at Kanye West and what's going on with him. I am joined by my esteemed guest, Mr. Jean Claude Escalante. Sir, welcome back to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me again, man. Had a really good time the last time. Unfortunately, we didn't get to do it again quickly because I have some work going on at home here. It's taking a while, with some renovations. So today is actually the first day I get a little peace and quiet to do this. So I really hope we can make this a weekly thing as we originally intended. But glad to be back on here, man.
Yeah, man, sounding good, sounding good. So, who is this Kanye West character? I don't really pay attention much to these singers and them. What you could tell me about Kanye?
All right, so Kanye West is a rapper slash fashion designer slash businessman, I guess we can call him now. For me personally, Kanye West, is special to me because Kanye West is one of my favorite musicians of all time. His album, The College Dropout, is like in my top 10. I could listen to that from start to finish over and over. So Kanye West has been very influential on my life, and a lot of people might be surprised to hear that. But the reason why that is because he I mean, like I said, just the title of that album alone, the college dropout, from even back then, he was trying to tell people you don't need to invest $100,000 in a college degree to make money. There are other ways you can make money out here. College isn't everything. He's also just a self-made person, and he does what he wants to do. If Kanye wakes up this morning and feels like he wants to design some shoes, he'll do that. If he wanna get up and experiment with a kind of rock album, he'll do that, which he has done. And in a way, I could relate to that for me because for me and writing, I just got up one morning and said I'm gonna write. You know what I mean? So he's been very influential to me. So it's very interesting to see one of the people who I admire for his work ethic. I mean, for people who don't know, this is a guy who got in a car accident coming out of the studio one night, fell asleep behind the wheel, got in a car accident, had to have his jaw reconstructed, and like just a few weeks after that surgery, he could barely open his mouth to speak properly and recorded a song, and it became one of his biggest hit songs. So that work ethic and that drive and determination has always inspired me about Kanye West. So when I see what's going on with him in the media now and people trying to basically blackball him from the industry, make him seem like he's a crazy person, make him seem like, he's just a lunatic out here. It kind of, it it bothers me a bit because, I see the person for who he really is. I see the man for the talented artist that he is. And, it's just a sad sign of the times. Here you have hardworking people just being degraded by the population by people who don't know what hard work is, people who don't know what drive and determination is, and they think that they are allowed to sit down, in a high seat and look down on people who are worth more than them, who work harder than them, and who will actually leave this earth with a legacy. So as for who Kanye West is, Kanye West is one of the most talented individuals on this earth today.
Interesting, interesting. The first time I hear about Kanye is when he come out with the Jesus Walks. Now that was a good tune, a real good tune. And I see that you describe him as a very independent person, independent minded and independent in doing what he want to do. So what it is he did to cause this trouble? I also saw in the news that he was supporting Donald Trump, that chippity, and he came out and he started speaking a little too brash. He was talking about topics that are a bit sensitive, and people, I don't know if they was taking it the wrong way, but it seems like he don't hold back.
Well, like most people, what Kanye West did wrong was he thought for himself. He had an independent mind, he had an independent opinion, and he didn't let the media influence his thinking. He didn't let any of the populist narratives influence his train of thought. Um, a few years ago, he tweeted, "I like the way Candace Owens thinks," and that apparently upset a lot of people. They started calling him a sellout. The usual insults they throw at people. But
Hmm.
that is who Kanye West is. That he will think for himself, and that's what he did wrong. He basically went against the left, and that's something you don't do. He came out wearing the "Make America Great Again" hat. Whether or not it's never been confirmed if he supported Trump, but just the mere act of having a MAGA hat was enough to trigger people.
I see, I see. And of late, his big sin. that people saying is that he came out with a tweet that say he going DEFCON 5 on Jewish people. DEFCON 5 on Jewish people. Now, for the average person, like I don't even know what that means. What is DEFCON? For me, DEFCON means that the US military, the US executive branch saying that, hey, we're going in a defensive position. And this was
Hmm.
pointed out by his friend Candace Owens. But
Right,
people just see DEFCON and they think
but
that he's going to attack Jewish people. So what
again,
going on
it's
there?
all song bites, it's all juvenile thinking. Like, I mean, here's somebody who, for the last 4 years, they've been telling us, oh, he's crazy, he's mentally ill. He's been a laughing stock, right? We're not supposed to take Kanye West seriously. Why are we taking this tweet seriously if we're not supposed to take him seriously? But as you rightfully pointed out, it has nothing to do with it. Kanye did not wake up one day and say, everybody go out there and kill Jewish people.
Yeah, yeah,
But
that's right.
this is how the left operates. They take these sound bites, they operate in a vacuum, and then no one is a bigger conspiracy theorist than those on the left. I always say that. They are the first to accuse people of being conspiracy theorists, but no one's a bigger conspiracy theorist than them. Because that's how far they can take things. Donald Trump incited an insurrection from a tweet. That's how far they take things. So no one's a bigger conspiracy theorist than the left. So
Well,
Kanye West apparently now calling for the death of Jews.
he didn't tweet that. So I just wondered what DEFCON means. So,
Well, I mean, to go into it, I mean, what he's basically speaking about is, I mean, I don't think this is supposed to be news. This isn't a shock to anyone, but the Jews basically control and dominate the majority of American businesses. That's no surprise. And they are especially controlling of the entertainment industry. And all Kanye West was simply saying, all he was simply doing was calling out the Jews for giving rappers and other musicians terrible contract deals, for giving NBA players terrible contract deals, NFL players terrible contracts. And this is something musicians and sportsmen have been complaining about for decades anyway, that they got the wrong end of a contract deal, they signed exclusive rights, because their lawyers didn't advise them properly, all the legal jargon. A layman can't understand all the technical terms. So, and then the lawyers weren't any better at explaining to them, and they realized that they got into contracts that they couldn't get out of, and it devalued their worth to society. And people have been complaining about it for years. All Kanye West simply said was, "Hey, these are the Jews behind it," and then that's a problem. Now it becomes a problem, even though people have been saying it for years. But he said nothing. He said nothing different. He was just talking about the fact that musicians and athletes and other entertainers are being robbed by the industry.
funny that you bring that up. It reminds me of Michael Jackson. Now, whatever you think of Michael Jackson and him with children, I don't really care. But he came out with this song, They Don't Really Care About Us. And he was constantly at war fighting against the music industry. And now we're seeing it happen again in a different light with Kanye West.
And the thing is, he's saying nothing. This is the thing. He's saying nothing new. He's saying things that have been said all the time. What is the big deal now that he just simply pointed out who the players in the game are?
Well,
Or was he not supposed to do that?
they say if you want to know who rules you, look who you can criticize now.
Because I'm pretty sure if the whites controlled the media and entertainment, it would have been a-okay to say that country on the whites. It would have been okay to be outspoken. But because it's the Jews, and for people who don't know, the Jews overwhelmingly vote Democrat. So don't be surprised when all these Jewish media establishments are pushing left wing propaganda and left wing narratives. That's the problem here. The problem is he just went after the Democrat base, their support.
Now, you're using this term left here a lot. So, for our listeners who are not really familiar with this kind of terminology, who is the left and what does the left believe in?
All right, so the left, I mean, in American politics, you have what is called the left wing and the right wing. And they're two separate ideologies. Unlike Trinidad and Tobago, where it's just African party and Indian party, in the United States, you have the left, or what is known as liberalism, and on the right, you have conservatism. And on the left, the ideas that they strive for, things like gender equality in terms of LGBTQ, inclusivity, all of that, They also strive for greater government control and regulation. So that is to say, they want the government involved in healthcare, education. So they're more for funding of public schools, funding of public healthcare. Whereas on the right, they're more for the privatization of schools. They want more private businesses to run the economy rather than have that large government overreach. So most celebrities, whether through want of their own or as Kanye say, they just to cut the checks and get paid. Most celebrities they tend to be on the left. As I mentioned, LGBTQ already. Another left wing idea is banning guns so people can't have private gun ownership. So it's all these different ideas encompass what's the left and what's the right.
So it's sounding to me that this left have a lot to do with communism. I hear a lot of communism in how you describe it.
Well, you can't have government in charge of everything and eventually not be communist. I don't think people understand that. You can't put government in charge of healthcare, in charge of education, in charge of so many other aspects, in charge of businesses, telling businesses how much profits they can make each year, determining how much taxes they pay. You can't have government in charge of industry and the whole way of life in an economy and not eventually end up down the path of communism. It's a very slippery slope. It's sure it starts off with, well, we'll have a few public schools to give education to the poor, we'll have a few public hospitals so people could access quality treatment, whether or not there's actually quality is a topic for another time. But the more and more you surrender autonomy onto government, it's only a matter of time until the government becomes in charge of your life and you're under a communist state.
And we don't want that, not at all.
Well, you would think.
But yeah, for today's topic, you wanted to cover this whole Kanye scene. So why is that?
Well, what is taking place? I'm glad that you brought up communism because it feeds into it. What we are seeing is a hallmark of communism, and that is the suppression of free thought and speech. Kanye West is being censored for simply having an opinion that goes contrary to what the popular narrative is. He, I always ask people, well, what is he saying? What has he said that is so wrong? Most people can't tell you. They just say, well, he said wrong things and he should be banned, but they can't actually tell you what he said. He brought up the fact that, America has a high obesity rate and the media is glorifying obesity, through entertainers like Lizzo. Is that what is so wrong about that? That warrants a man losing a deal with Balenciaga, losing a deal with Adidas. What was so wrong about that?
Had me. They had the idea that Ye was bullying what I think the liberal term is a body goes black woman. Now let's talk about Gabby and my good friend Lizzo. Lizzo works with my trainer, a friend of mine, Harley Pasternak. When Lizzo loses 10 pounds and announces it, the bots, that's a term for people it's like telemarketer callers, like on Instagram, they attack her for losing weight because the media wants to put out a perception that being overweight is the new goal when it's actually unhealthy.
Mentioning, industry basically giving artists and musicians and entertainers bad contract deals. What is wrong about that? What is wrong about having on a t-shirt that says White Lives Matter? What is wrong with calling out the Black Lives Matter movement? And what we are seeing is that we are seeing government propaganda, just like communist regimes at work here, where this is the opinion you're supposed to have. You're supposed to only believe Black Lives Matter. You're supposed to only believe obesity is a good thing. You can't have an independent thought contrary to that. And what's happening to Kanye West is also what happened, to Andrew Tate. And what people don't understand, okay, it was Andrew Tate, now it's Kanye West. It's only a matter of time until it starts trickling down to you and me.
Well, you're saying he gets censored, but honestly, censorship has its limits. If you're being censored, that means people can't hear or see everything you say. But this man has actually been deleted. He has been removed from the meta platforms, the
That
Instagram,
is
the
true.
Twitter, the Facebook. So he has been more than censored. He has
Yeah.
been depersoned.
Deplatformed.
He has
Yeah.
been deplatformed. He has been removed from the internet because they don't like what this man is saying. And as you rightly pointed out, this trend of censorship has been going on for some time. It started with Stupid Man Trump. This year we had Andrew Tate, and now we have Kanye West. So, as you rightly put it, the question becomes okay, at what point does the average person have a say in public discourse on the internet? And if you choose not to say the correct thing, will you be removed? Will you lose access to your bank account? Will you be separated from society?
But you know, we saw it last year with the Canadian truckers who got their bank accounts frozen. So as you can see, this whole line of banks freezing your account, because it happened to Kanye too. They froze his account or dropped him from the bank. It's clearly going to become a mechanism of control over time. It's
Well,
one thing when it happens. Sure, it might happen to a few truckers you don't know about, but I mean, Kanye West is a celebrity. What makes anyone think that you're gonna be, that it can't happen to you?
and that's a real scary thing you're talking about there
And
because,
this is the thing. This is the thing people don't understand. If there is a list of predetermined thoughts you're supposed to have, that is not freedom. That is not free speech. If you can say this, and that only, that is not. It boggles my mind how people are just, this is okay to them. That here's a list of opinions you're allowed to have. Here's a list of opinions you're not allowed to have, and people are just okay with this.
well, that's the new thing they come out with in the last 10 years, hate speech. Hate speech, hate speech. What the hell is hate speech? Free speech is all speech. There have no such thing as hate speech. That's a crock of nonsense. So when you want to remove people for hate speech, all you have to do is designate an opinion that you don't like as hate speech, and then
And
you can ruin the life of an individual, even a
correct.
celebrity.
And this is the thing. If you have an opinion that's on the list of things you're not allowed to believe in, do you then change your opinion to conform to society? Then at what point do you not realize you're a brainwashed fool?
Boy, I tell you. So here we come to the point. Well, what has Kanye been saying? You pointed out some good examples. The whole thing with the White Lives Matter or All Lives Matter, the that Jewish people running the industry, and if you don't go along with what they say, if you talk out against them, you'll have your career ruined. So what happened as a result of him saying that? One of the talent managers for CAA in California say, hey, don't do no business with this man. And that man was named Ari Emanuel. Obviously, that's a Jewish name. Not to say I have any problem with Jewish people, but he proved the point Kanye was making.
Correct.
That
Exactly.
if you go against the flow of water, you get yourself in trouble. So Kanye went from a billionaire to a millionaire. He lost the Adidas contract. He lost the talent agency contract. People don't want to do business with him anymore. And now he's alone.
This is the thing. It's the more he speaks and the more they react to what he says, is the more that they're only proving him right.
That's the crazy thing.
And people still don't see it.
Of course
If
not.
some, I made a post last week when all of this happened. I said, if Kanye West is supposed to be a joke, why are we taking it so seriously now? Why are the people who were saying he's a joke and making a joke out of him taking him so seriously now?
It's a genocide of the black race. They want to kill us in any way they can. Planned Parenthood was made by Margaret Sanger, a known eugenics with the KKK, and I believe that if we saw ourselves as a people and not a race, then we would treat our people better. Like if you go to a Jewish person and you say a race, it almost gets confusing. They'll cut you off quickly and say, we're not a race, we're a people. Well, our people are supposed to just say it loud, I'm black and I'm proud. Okay, well, what about, do you own the land that you're living in? Do you own, is the contract even in a language that's even possibly understandable?
Right.
Because if you want to separate good from bad, you have to have an example of what is good and what is bad. And if is what he is saying is bad, you shouldn't have to censor it. You should be
You know,
allow people to say, "Hey, this is Kanye West. This is his opinion. This is a bad opinion." But
you know
instead of doing that, you just remove him completely from the
what it
discussion.
exposes. It really just exposes the double standards of the left and the hypocrisy of them.
Yeah,
Here
that.
you are, for instance, a policy the Democrats love to pursue is sugar taxes, right?
Mhm.
Why are they pursuing sugar taxes? Oh, this study says the FDA study concluded that obesity is a problem in America. And what is the problem if Kanye West says the media needs to stop glorifying obesity?
There is no problem.
Left wing people, Democrats, they are socialists, they have a problem with wealthy people. Kanye West should be an icon to these people. This man is basically saying, I don't care about your money. I don't care about the fame. I don't care about the fortune. These are my opinions. And I don't care if it makes me poorer. Doesn't this sound like a man who 60 years ago a quote unquote liberal would support? Done with the system, done with the establishment. I take your money, I don't want it.
Yeah, that's what liberalism used to be about.
These people don't realize, and this is what I keep trying to say, no one on the left anymore has an original thought of their own and they don't know what they believe in because Kanye West is someone they should believe in.
And that brings up
Kanye
another
West
point.
embodies liberalism. It's all about free speech, being against the government.
Thinking for
But that's not
yourself.
but that's not what a liberal is. A liberal is someone who wants the government to carry out and execute their ideas. They're all for government control so long as it's to force their vision of the world onto others. And that's what liberalism has become. Has nothing to do with freedom, has nothing to do with standing up for yourself, has nothing to do with that. It's all a matter of how can I force my vision of the world on others and get the government to do it for me.
Yeah, and another good example we had recently was Dave Chappelle. Dave Chappelle and Chappelle Show was the biggest thing out, major success. And for season three, they wanted to take control of the man show to say what he can and cannot say, interfering with artistic freedom. And you know what he did? He walked away. He walked away from multi-million-dollar contract, went to Africa, and they did the same thing. They call him crazy. The same thing they did with Kanye.
You see, that's the thing. What is the one common trait here? Kanye West, Dave Chappelle. These are two African American males who have been made, they've lost money for simply stand up for what they believe in. And these are the same liberals who turn around and say Black Lives Matter. But that's not what liberals want. That's not what white liberals want.
They're
What they
destroying
want,
these black men's lives.
another thing Kanye West bring up, he said he was talking about his friend who said, let's go to the Holocaust Museum in Germany. He said, well, let's go to our Holocaust museum right here called Planned Parenthood.
Yeah. How many
Black
millions
women,
of babies killed?
black babies are disproportionately killed at a rate of 5 times higher than white babies are aborted. But that's
Craziness.
what white liberals mean by Black Lives Matter. It means shut up and we'll tell you what to think.
And Black Lives Matter, oh my goodness, that is
Well,
such a farce. Every single week you have thousands of black males killing each other, especially in Chicago and New York. And they don't do anything, they don't say anything because that's
well,
expected.
but again, well, that's the hypocrisy left. So Kanye West could put that country on the Jews, gets banned for it. And you have rappers in Chicago throwing out death threats to one another on Twitter. No one's getting banned. Nothing's happening. These rappers are dying at a young age after these tweets go out. And that's fine on Twitter. It's the hypocrisy of the left. It's okay. The Jews have no, and this is not to be against the Jews or anything, but I'm just calling it like it is too. So these Jewish people who control the media have no problem with young black men using Twitter to escalate their gang rivalries. But as soon as Kanye West uses it to say something about them, then it becomes a problem.
It's crazy, it's
And those are
crazy.
all points you have to consider. That's the things you have to think about. And all Kanye West is trying to do is get people to think.
Think for themselves. All right, so we covered this whole Kanye issue, but how that affecting Trinidadians? You heard any opinions or
I
interesting
mean,
points of view?
it's obviously not affecting Trinidad, right? Um, eh, the majority opinion down here is going to sway based on what the mainstream media says, what the memes on Facebook say. That's like everything, you know, in the United States. And that's the power and influence of the left. That, you know, and Kanye even said this. He said America is a superpower. We're the only superpower, and we influence the world. And he's right, because the majority of people in the Caribbean, Latin America, the third world, their opinions are formed by the left. So the majority opinion in Trinidad is going to be on the consensus of the side of Kanye's crazy and talking shit.
You're saying that it do affect me, but I find it does. I find it does really affect me here in Trinidad and Tobago because when Rachel Price made a joke about Anthony Carmona, the president at the time wife, she was taken, she was sued for that, she was lambasted for that. And the thing is, when you're a public figure, you open yourself to
Correct.
criticism. So if a
Yes.
comedian make a joke about you, you are fair game, my friend, because you are a
Well,
public figure.
if comedians can't make jokes about people in society, then there's no such thing as a comedian anymore. It might as well just make the profession extinct. But yes, you're absolutely right in terms of you know, that way of thinking, that cancel culture way of thinking, it has come to Trinidad, and that's because the left wing media has a stronghold on the way people think, and people don't like to admit, people don't like to think of themselves as brainwashed, but it's obvious that what is taking place right now, we have a thought police going around, and they're telling people what they can and cannot say.
And next point I had read just recently, how this affecting us, is that this judge, Frank Sipasad, came out and said that you can be sued, you can be taken to court for messages that you sent that are defamatory in a private chat about somebody, and that person doesn't even have access to that chat. So what going on there? That sounded like serious censorship, serious communism
As
in Trinidad.
that's just the crazy world we living in, and it's the people with the power to make those decisions. You know, they sit in high offices, and that's the scary part. They use those seats of power to push their own individual opinions on the wider public, which is not what this court of law should be for.
That's the thing. To me, is an
You know what I
attack
mean?
on speech, is an attack on comedy, is an attack on thinking for
You know,
yourself. That
in the
the
law, there's a constitution, and your job as a judge is to protect whatever is enshrined in the constitution. It's not your job as a judge to you know, impart your opinion on the wider public and what you think should be. There's a constitution. Everything you need to know as a judge is there in the constitution. There's no need to go outside of it.
well, boy, if people actually read the Constitution is say that that's something that protects the rights of people. But how many people in Trinidad and Tobago have actually read our Constitution? Apart
Well,
from myself,
that, I mean,
I don't know nobody.
I don't know anyone myself, so hey, why not? But you know that there's a age old saying: the extent to which the Constitution protects people is the extent to which the people protect the Constitution. So if people don't think it's within their right, it's not in their best interest to read it, then go right ahead.
Mm-mm-mm. I tell you, it's a sad state of affairs. They coming for Kanye. If they could get Kanye West, if they could
Hey,
get Andrew Tate, if they
nearly
could
dead.
get a sitting president of the United States, who is going to protect you?
And before the sitting president, it was Justice Brett Kavanaugh. If you remember that one, just came banging down on the doors. So hey.
Crazy, crazy times we living in. All right, Jean Claude. I think this was a nice episode. I understand that your book is back in stock. Can you tell the listeners a little bit more about that?
Oh yes, I have What's on My Mind back in stock. It's a collection of 40 essays on political, economical, race relations, education issues, social issues as well. You can get that in stock at Scribbles and Quills, Metropolitan Bookstore, Book Emporium, or you can get it from me as well. I can be reached at 323-4406. And of course, I have From Indentureship to Entrepreneurship, which outlines the rise of the East Indians in Trinidad from, peasant cane farmers to entrepreneurs today. It challenges the narrative that Indians were successful because they got land and received money for indentureship. Instead, it looks at the cultural factors, that work ethic, that drive that eventually pushed them to wealthy status in this country. And that's also available at Metropolitan Bookstore, Book Emporium, Scribbles and Quills, and now at RIK Book Services, and of course from myself. I
Excellent.
also have my, if anyone interested, there's also my Patreon, which will be linked in the description. For just $5 a month, you can get access to exclusive essays every week from me.
Wonderful. Thanks for so much for joining us today, Jean Claude.
All right, man. Thanks for having me again, and looking forward to doing this. Hopefully, we can really make this a weekly thing.
All right, people. Laters.